Frieren Beyond Journey's End. Man, the brand new anime that's taking the world by storm and hopefully wins Fantasy of the Year this year. Please do not let it be Demon Slayer for the third time in a row. Crunchyroll, don't let it happen. I beg of you, let it be Frieren because it truly deserves it. Frieren Beyond Journey's End was not an anime I thought I was gonna like, honestly, when it first got announced that it was becoming an anime. A lot of manga readers really explained to me what kind of anime this is, and I really just dismissed it because I'm like, that does not sound like an anime I would like. And this was the year that I was really into my sci-fi mecha bag. Honestly, fantasy was not really interesting me. Like, yeah, I was watching Mushoku Tensei, but honestly, I really didn't care for fantasy. I also really didn't care for slice of life like that. And on top of that, Frieren is a brand new shonen anime, and honestly, shonen recently has not impressed me. Jujutsu Kaisen, yeah, cool animation, great fight scenes, but I really didn't care for it like that. Demon Slayer, come on, we all know that is just animation. Like, come on, like let's be honest. And the animation quality even dipped, so what even is the point of watching it anymore? My Hero Academia really fell off after season 2. Black Clover isn't back yet, as well as it had a lot of filler while it was airing, so you know, there's that. And Chainsaw Man season 1 ended too early, 12 episodes, but this is the first time we're getting a 28 episode anime in a long time, so I had hope for it, thinking maybe it just needs more episodes. But Frieren dropped 4 episodes all at once, and man, that was a ride. I truly love the fact that they decided to drop 4 episodes all at once so that I could see for myself in one day, am I gonna like this anime? I really don't like the fact with recent seasonal anime that yes, I have to really give it 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks to even see if I enjoy it. Honestly, to me, that's some time commitment. I liked the fact that Oshinoko released an hour-and-a-half long episode to start, because honestly, I would have probably dropped it in 2 weeks if they did not do that. After all the things that I've said that I don't like about anime, Frieren has this quality, yet it manages to suck me into the world. It manages to keep my attention. It managed to make me fall in love with certain characters, and that's what good writing does, man. I miss well-written shows, and maybe it made me think back to all the shows that I dismiss and have the qualities that Frieren have, and I'm thinking like, maybe I don't dislike those type of anime, whether if they're slice of life, shonen, fantasy. Maybe I do like those shows, but they just were not written well, and Frieren is a definition of that. I'm not going to talk about every single aspect that I like about Frieren because there are so many videos on why people like Frieren, especially my boy RJ from On The Rise. He talks about the romance part, which you can check out in the description down below. Shout out to him. But I want to talk about how Frieren really is able to connect with me personally, because honestly, when it comes to anime, relatability is so important, and I didn't realize how important it is until I really went through the anime of why I like them so much. I connected with that character in some way, or I connected with the story in that way. When it comes to Frieren, the first episode, it really hit me that life is short. When it comes to us humans, the average lifespan of a human in the United States, which is the country that I'm in, is I think 75. In the grand scheme of things, 75 is really not that long. I mean, my own dad is 64, which means he has 11 years till he reaches the average age of an American, and that's kind of scary to think about. A lot of people in other Frieren videos bring up the concept of time, but I really want to focus on the concept of relationships, because the relationship between Himmel and Frieren really gets shown in flashbacks as well as in Frieren's interactions with other characters. I mean, Frieren will always remember, like, what would Himmel do? I mean, Himmel is the person who recruited Frieren into his party, and that's how Frieren was able to get Fern and Stark on her team, because she really felt like if Himmel was here, he would take in Fern, he would take in Stark. These two characters belong in my party, and she even takes in Sign for a little bit, the priest from this one town that they arrive at. When they brought in Sign, I really didn't know if I was gonna like him, because I really like the dynamic of Frieren, Fern, and Stark. And Sign, he was kind of like that more mature person in the group that could really give some advice. I mean, Frieren is technically hundreds of years old, but she doesn't really act like that. She acts more of kind of a child as well as like a young adult. But, you know, she has habits of an old lady too, I guess you could say. But Sign through and through acts like an adult male. As an adult male myself, Sign acts like the average adult guy. And I think that was needed in some parts of Frieren, especially the part where Stark was trying to buy Fern a birthday gift. And I really love that scene because it reminds me of when I was dating my wife. We were really young back then and barely had any money. me. And the scene where Stark is really trying to find the right gift for Fern, and the way Fern interacts with Stark while he's trying to buy this gift, it kind of does remind me of my wife in a way. A little bit, you know, a little bit of attitude, but at the end of the day, they're gonna love what they get because it comes from the heart, you know what I mean? And that scene really took me back to when I was younger. Going back to Frieren's party, it's really nice to see that the party that she's gathering now really does mirror the party she was in with Himmel. I mean, you can clearly tell Stark is Eisen, since Stark was the one who was trained by Eisen. Fern, even though she was trained by Hyder, Fern is basically a mini Frieren in a way. Yes, of course, Hyder was very important to Fern, but let's be honest, Frieren trained Fern in a way that's like a mini Frieren. Like, let's be honest. And Sign, kind of in a way, is like Hyder. Sign, for a little bit when he was a part of the party, he does feel like that older gentleman type guy who's a priest but has a lot of flaws to him that really does fit Hyder to a T. And I'm gonna steal this one from the videos that I've seen of Frieren, but people keep talking about how Frieren is an elf that's lived hundreds of years, and talks about, especially in the beginning, how this journey to defeat the Demon King with the party with Himmel, Hyder, and Eisen, just a very small part of her life, and it's really not that significant to her, yet everything she does after the party is a reminder of that time she spent with them. Those 10 years, very minuscule, but those are important times for her. It's kind of like when we look back at our childhood, right? We look back and our childhood honestly was only what? Between 10 to 18 years of our lives, depending on how you quantify what a childhood is. Compared to the rest of our lives, that's very insignificant, yet we remember that the most. I mean, I'm a millennial, I don't know about anyone else, but millennials really cling on to their childhood. It's because those are the times of our lives we just grasp onto that shaped us for who we are, that made us, you know, fall in love with the certain things that we've fallen in love with, and we always clamor to that childhood. I mean, look at all the reboots and remakes that are happening because those things worked and we want them back, and so they're remaking it, even though we complain about those remakes, but that's a video for another day. It's kind of the same thing with Frieren. Frieren was kind of just a free spirit, and she holds on to the 10 years she was with that party and is like, they shaped me to be who I am today. She was able to utilize her power as a mage because of this party. I mean, before that, she was a powerful mage, but she didn't utilize those powers because she just wanted to roam free and have an adventure by herself and really just stick to herself. But really, it was Himmel bringing her onto the team that made her think, man, I'm finally utilizing my powers for something, and I enjoyed that time. And obviously she still does, because we still keep getting flashbacks over and over again. I really like the episode where Frieren stumbles upon Himmel's statue, and it reminds her of how Himmel really loved having statues around of him. And it seems something so minuscule, but I feel myself doing the same thing when I see certain things. It's like when I see this dessert called turon, which is a Filipino dessert. It makes me think about my mom all the time because that's her favorite dessert, and she asked my dad to make it all the time. Kind of like that. It's kind of like when I pull up to a Jollibee and get like some fried chicken, and all I can think of is like, man, my mom really loves that fried chicken. Just certain little things that you just kind of look at that and you're like, that reminds me of this one time that I had with this person. Every time I go bowling, I think about my wife now, because we went bowling on our first date, and every time I go bowling with my friends or with my family, I think about my wife, because this is what we did. Frieren knows exactly how to just connect with the person who's watching it, because if you've lived through life long enough, you'll be able to have those connections and you'll be able to relate to everything Frieren is really going through. Now, with how Himmel got Frieren into his party, I really loved it in the second to last episode where Himmel was just lost as a kid, and we see this flashback of him crying underneath a tree. He just didn't know how to get back to the town, and Frieren, fully grown at this point because, you know, she's like 500 years old, points to the nearest town in the direction that Himmel needs to go, but Himmel still feels scared and uncertain of if he should go. And when Frieren shows him the flowers, I was like, wow, that is such a good moment, because they do this great job where when Himmel was all sad, they show him in this like very gloomy, dark, bluish color, and then Frieren just pulls out a spell field full of flowers, and it brightens up the darkness and the little frightened boy that's in Himmel's heart. That really got to me. It's like, that's such a core memory to have. Like, everyone has those type of memories where they were sad at one point and something happens to them and they're like, man, my day just got so much better. I remember when I was feeling super down because I didn't do good on one of my college exams. One of my friends who's on the same dance team as I am told me like, hey, you know, my friends are gonna go have a study group. Why don't you join? And I joined that study group, and who was there but the person that would be my future wife. And I remembered I walked into the door and I thought she was really cute, and it really brightened up my day, and she gave me attention that day. I played my cards. I really did. Kind of reminds me of that moment. You know what I mean? Obviously, completely different type of feeling that Himmel was compared to me, but it really just hit me in that core memory. Anyone could brighten up your day. You just don't know who. It could be a stranger that you don't know that could be very important in your life later on. That's how Himmel remembered Frieren when he stumbled upon her again later when he was an adult and asked her to be in my party. And I do see this discourse about how Frieren is not what they thought it was gonna be because of the later episodes. If you guys don't know the first half of Frieren, it's definitely more of a slice of life fantasy adventure, which I personally surprisingly liked. I was surprised that I liked that aspect of Frieren. I didn't like how Frieren kind of went more story mode and decided to focus in on becoming a first-class mage and entering these exams and everything seems so much more linear in that way. And I'm like, I honestly like that. I like the fact that they were able to change it up in the story, and you're able to switch from this slice of life fantasy into more of like a fantasy shonen. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a shonen anime, right? This is kind of the shonen aspect of it. It kind of reminds me of how JoJo's changes parts, and some people don't like the fact that it interrupts the story, but I like the fact that you're able to change things, shake things up, be able to make things more exciting, because this is how you grab my attention more. I truly like when stories just kind of deviate a little bit here and now, because I'm able to be more excited. I was able to, you know, be like, all right, how are they gonna write this? And Frieren did such a good job of it. It's kind of like the Chunin exams, but more fantasy, and I really like that. It gave me essence of that, and this is honestly where it showed great animation as well. Madhouse did such a good job with animating this show, only needing to show their prowess as an animation studio when they need to, like the first time they meet Stark, and Stark defeats that dragon and this crazy fight scene happens. That was amazing animation, as well as when Frieren was able to break the barrier in the first test of the first class mage exams. She was able to break that barrier with one strike, and it was crazy, man. That was so good. The fight scenes they do have in Frieren, the animation looks so good, and they only had to do it a few times so it didn't get stale to me. Like during the slice of life parts, literally just, you know, typical animation, it's whatever, you know what I mean? But that doesn't matter because you're focusing on the characters and their shenanigans. But man, when they activate full-blown animation mode, oh my gosh, it really rivals animation in Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. But yeah, I really just wanted to express why I love Frieren so much. If there's such thing as new gen shonen, Frieren would be my favorite new gen shonen. I don't see any other new gen. Well, what is new gen anyway? Because people think My Hero Academia is a new gen, yet it came out in 2016. It's been 8 years. Is that a new gen? I don't know. But that's a video for another time. Shout out to Frieren Beyond Journey's End. It's truly something special, and I'm so glad I was able to look past what I thought was, man, this is gonna be a crappy show because it has these aspects of it, to really loving the characters and story of Frieren. And shout out to Madhouse for animating it. Please let there be a season 2, but it's Madhouse. They're known for dropping shows after season 1. So please, Madhouse, make a season 2, or someone pick up season 2. Please, because this is a special fantasy, and honestly I think this is my favorite fantasy of all time. It could be just recency bias, but hey, speak for itself, man. It's still number 1 on Mal as far as I'm concerned, and I'm honestly not mad at it. I personally like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood more, but I'm not mad at Frieren being number 1 right now. It deserves it, even though there are aspects of Frieren that I normally wouldn't like. It's just, man, the writing is so good to the point where I love these characters. I love this story. I love the adventure that they're going on, and I hope they just have everything go their way. There is no Demon King to slay because that Demon King was slayed in the first episode. So all you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the vibes. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you like this video. I really just wanted to do a more conversational type video. I really didn't feel like a script was needed for this. I really just wanted to talk. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.